evening. So today I'm going to do a fair few jobs in the polytunnel. I'm going to show you how to make a propagator out of a bed, and I've been making these homemade wooden pegs, and I'll show you how I'm going to use those. I've also mixed up some more strawberry hanging basket mix, and I've got to patch that hole that I've created by taking up the raised bed, and I'm going to plant up some more strawberries. So there's plenty to do, and it's nice and warm in here, so I'm going to enjoy it. And there we have it, and that'll be serviceable for some considerable time. So here's some fresh manure, well, not fresh out of the horse, but fresh out of the bucket. And as you can see, it's actually full of worms, which is absolutely fine. They'll continue to compost whatever I add. So this is the 25% of manure, and I'll add into that now 75% compost and some more of that bloodfish and bone as a slow release fertilizer. We're filling this right to the top, and we're doing that because we're going to water in the center, and we're going to use pots like this in the middle just as a reservoir. And of course that means that when you water into that, it doesn't spill over the hanging basket like it normally would if it was full up and you just watered the surface. So once that's in, that's ready to go. Now I'm just a little bit below the rim of the basket, but when I put the strawberries in, that will lift and we'll be pretty much flush. And then that basket is ready to plant. We'll clip on the chains and it can hang off the bars. Now, as far as the strawberries go, I took loads and loads of runners last year from the strawberry plants that were in the hanging baskets. So these plants, once they've fruited, they just start to spill over runners, and you can just clip them and put them in pots or let them drop to the floor and root them on the floor. There's no end of ways. And then of course when you split the baskets at the end, you can quite simply take any runners off and plant them up. So we're going to go and have a look at the runners that I planted up last year and choose some to go into these new baskets. So I have a few here that have been in the polytunnel for a few days. I've been watering them and they started to come on already, so I'll probably use some of those. And out on the plot, I've got some choices. There's these which I am going to move because they didn't work particularly well, and there's some good growth there in some of those plants. I've got a few pots here. That's a good pot, looks like there's some good growth in there, so we'll probably have that one. And then up here, these have all just been outside all winter long. You can see that growth is starting in these. That looks like a good pot, that one too, that one definitely, and this one looks good. So I've got lots to choose from, and I'll gather those together now. So first of all, I need to get the plants so that I've got decent plants with no brown bits, no dead leaves, and so I'm just going to work through these, splitting them and getting the plants ready for going into the baskets. Here I can see that I've got probably 3, maybe even 4 plants. So I'm going to divide it up, which is really simple. And there we've got a really strong group of strawberries, and that'll make a good plug to put into these. So the next stage is really simple. It's just a case of getting these into the baskets. I tend to do it near the edge, make sure the roots get nice and deep, and get them tucked in. And as you can see, it displaces quite a lot of soil, which is great because it just fills the whole basket up a little bit more. Put them equidistant round the basket. This one's got a fair old chunk of root on it, so I'm going to go really quite deep. And it doesn't matter if soil gets into this well as you're going along, because you can soon just tip it out. And these strawberry plants, they'll be very grateful for all that goodness that's gone into this mix, and they'll soon get kicking on like the others have, and they'll just be a bit behind the ones that I prepared earlier, because that was the aim, to get some sort of succession in gathering the fruit. So I guess the question you might be asking is, do you need this many strawberries? Well, the answer from me is a resounding yes. Strawberries are such a versatile fruit. You can freeze them and put them in pies and fruit mixes. You can eat them fresh, of course. They make fabulous smoothies. And if you've got the right equipment, you can also dehydrate them. And Mrs. K makes fabulous strawberry jam. So it's an incredibly versatile fruit, and in all honesty, I can't have enough. But I will run out of space in the polytunnel for these, and if I get the time and I've got sufficient hanging baskets left over, I'll make up more and hang them in the chicken coop. They'll be a lot slower in there, but they will come eventually. And hanging up, of course, it's the same as in here. They don't get so many pests. Outside there's a higher risk from greenfly. Occasionally inside I'll get greenfly, but if I see greenfly on a basket inside, I'll take it straight out and bring one in that hasn't got it. So now I need to clip these chains on, which just go straight through the bags, because the bags are not precious, they're very cheap, and I can use them again like I have with the green ones. And then I'll give them a watering and start hanging them up. Once again, with these hanging baskets, I'm going to apply some of this hotspot tape where the hooks touch the polythene. The polytunnel is too precious to lose, and they're not a cheap purchase, so it's really important to look after them, and small pieces of effort like this pay dividends in the long run. There we go. Now the heavyweight baskets, these three here, I just felt that they were too much weight on the bars, so they will go into the coop and they'll do just fine in there. And that'll be the strawberries that I'll be growing now for the coming few months. So there we go, there's the overflow of the strawberries hanging in the chicken coop, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the bigger baskets, and they won't get quite so much light. And of course, if the chickens come back, plants are always a problem, but not hung up like this, so hopefully that will increase our crop. So I'm going to show you what I made these pegs for. And I'm going to use some of this plastic from an old greenhouse that I've been storing. Seems to be coming in useful this year. But these sheets have got super sharp corners, and sharp corners in a polytunnel, anything sharp, is not good. You just forget that it's there, and before you know it, you've sliced through the polythene. So I'm going to take these corners off and round them, so that that accident isn't going to happen. There we go. And now these sheets just so happen to be the right width for the bed, which means that I can bring the seeds down onto the surface of the soil and effectively have a propagator just like I've got on top of the bench. The only trouble is they sag badly in the middle, and that's what I made the pegs for. Well, my time for ground working and general laying out around the plot is diminishing, and I'm fast approaching that time when I need to be concentrating on pricking out seedlings and planting things on. So the time's coming. You can see by the seedlings now, and these lettuce are really getting on. I probably need to start bringing some of those down. So maybe 2 or 3 more days of getting the plot how I want it, and then it's full on planting and working with what is going to be our future food. In the meanwhile, I need to give these a quick water, and then I'll tuck them up ready for the night. It's a classic April showers day today. I thought I might do a little bit of the digging in that path. I'm going to take the weed out. It was full of couch grass, and I'm just concerned that it will spread out into the areas that I've worked hard on. So I'm resigned to the fact that I've got to weed through. Shouldn't take me too long. But whilst it's raining, it gives me a great excuse for being here. So I've been talking to Mrs. K about the tomatoes. Now Mrs. K's mother has grown fabulous tomatoes for years and years, and she grows them in fairly small pots, and given that compost is at a premium at the moment, Mrs. K's trying to persuade me that I need to use a smaller pot. So I'm going to show you what the choices are. So we're going to grow using these trays where you water down into the side, and the funnel in the middle gives you a bit of height for the soil, and around that central funnel is 3 spots where you can put canes. So we're going to give those a go. It's particularly useful in that it drips water over time through those spouts underneath. Now these were the pots that I was thinking of growing in, and to be fair, they are very sizable. I would think they've got to be 50 litres by the time I've filled them with compost. So there's an option to use this pot, but it only sits on the top, but it'll still function correctly. And then I've got a number of these where it will sit on the compost. I like the idea that it's just going to sit on the compost, because that means we'll get very little evaporation of any moisture in the soil. So the jury's out at the moment. Is it going to be big? Is it going to be thin? Or is it going to be fat? I'm thinking these. We'll see. So over here now I've got a few potatoes and odds and sods. So I'm going to clear the potatoes out, get them over this side, because the tomatoes are a long way from being ready yet. And then I'm going to move the plants out that are going to go in the garden eventually. That gives me the whole bed. And then I'm going to start to move these seeds down, and I can cover them up using the Perspex covers, and that frees up the bench. I can start my next sowing. I'm also going to clear the trays that I put on the top of the carrot bed, so that that's ready for sowing too. And I'm doing these jobs in between that digging and those April showers. Few labels, some of these larger ones, so I thought I'd mark them up and use them in the fruit garden. So I'm going to find which ones are which and give them a label. I'm going to prime a whole bunch of seed trays for my next sowing. I'm most anxious to get the Swede in that I need to sow. I had a poor showing of Swede in the first sowing, and I decided I'd try some in the Vitapod, the propagator indoors. I've got to say that was an unmitigated disaster. The seedlings, well, I'll cut in a picture so that you can see. So there we are. Really, it's one of those, don't do this at home. And I'm going to get some seed into these trays pretty quickly, but the main thing is to prime them, get them ready, and today I think I'm going to put the Swede in just so I can get them going. It's a beautiful morning and I'm going to make the most of it. It's fairly cool in here at the moment, 23 degrees, so I'm going to get these seeds sown and then get out and do a little bit more of that digging of the path, see if I can get that nailed over the next couple of days. That's the seeds sown, and the giant collies, I've just put one seed in each cell. With the two beetroots, they come in clusters of seeds, so there's a cluster in each individual cell. The Gary, I've put 2 seeds in each one because I want to make sure that I get germination. Same with the Norfolk turnips. The rocket and the chives, they're just groups of seeds because I want a little cluster of plants. Same with the white Lisbon. The broccolis, 2 in each, just so that I make sure I get a plant in each cell, and then I'll take the weaker one out. We've got Morton's Secret. Again, I've put clusters of those because I can pull out the lettuce and prick them on. Calypso is a coriander which is bolt resistant, so again 2 or 3 cells in each, 2 or 3 seeds in each cell. The Aquadolce, 1 in each cell, and because I had to push down really hard, I've put some more soil on top. So that's the bulk of the seeds sown, and I'll just leave them now to soak in and warm up for the rest of the day. So this is the variety of carrot that I'm going to grow in the tower. It's a Thompson & Morgan seed called Sweet Candle F1, and the beauty of these is a nice thick carrot, and it's about 6 to 8 inches long, can be bigger, and it's basically going to be sown in a grid fashion. You can sow these in drills. The secret is getting some germination across the bed, but I want some uniformity, so I'm going to grow clusters of seeds in each of the grid's cross points, and I'll take out the ones that are the weakest and should end up with an evenly spaced bed of carrot. At least that's the theory. We'll see how we go. So there they are, a few seeds into each of the crosses in the grid, and there's probably 6, 7 in some of these. That's fine. I'm looking to just get 1 out of each cross point, and I'm going to just cover those over. These should be sown in theory 1/2 inch deep, and that's not actually very easy to achieve in any drill that you make, but I'm just going to cover them over and hope for the best. Beginning to think that I missed one there. Oh no, I got some. So I will cover these over with one of the Perspex covers just to warm up the soil even more during the germination period, and then as soon as I start to see some growth, I'll remove that cover and just keep watering these. It's important with any root like this, especially in a polytunnel, that you keep them well watered, because this soil will dry up in the heat in here very easily. And there we are, carrots planted. things that I can plant before I get the path finished is this plum tree. This is going in this bed, and it'll be the final tree that goes into the fruit garden. And this is the Prunus domestica opal. And the most important thing with this is planting it below the graft point, and the graft for this is just here, so I can plant a reasonable amount of depth into this bed. And I'm going to do that because I want the roots to find their way down into reasonable moisture, which is the underlying soil. So I'm just going to make a hole and make sure that it's plenty deep enough, and whilst I'm doing it I'll screen further this bed, make sure that there's no couch grass or weed in it. Now, my approach to planting these trees has been not to put any compost or anything that is goodness around the root ball, because I want the plant to anchor and send its roots down. So I'm not going to add anything into this hole other than water. The plant should come out fairly easily. I'm going to clear the seeds that seem to be accumulating on the top, which have come from the tree when they were in the fruit nursery down by the compost bins. So tap the pot, make sure it gets released, and then just pull it gently. We can see the tree, and there's lots of root growth on there, which I'm just going to tease a little bit out and then plant it into the hole. Now this is the time to get the positioning right and to get the shape right, and to be honest, that was good luck. It went in about the right direction and about the right height. So I'm just going to fill that in and then give it a really good healing in so that it's firm. And then we'll stand back and take a look. Yep, I'm quite happy with that. So I'm just going to cover over and give it a further watering in. Pop the label in. Job done. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.